Hi, I'm Alex and I live in Weston-super-Mare. Weston is known for many things such as the Weston Pier, famous fish and chip shops, and the Tropicana, which was once a working Lido. Today I'm on a mission to find out why the famous building disappeared, what's being done with it, and what the general public thinks should happen to the building. So firstly, what is a Lido? A Lido is an outdoor pool that is usually surrounded by a body of water such as a beach or a lake. This is what separates a swimming pool to a Lido, such as the Tropicana. Lidos were popularised in the early 1900s, but began to die out in the late 80s and 90s. This included the Tropicana in Weston-super-Mare. I'm on a mission to find out why this is, and what the residents of the town think should happen to the abandoned building. My first stop was to visit local historian and town council member John Crockford-Hawley, who agreed to meet with me to tell me about the building's history. Right, so first of all, if you just say your name and occupation.
John Crockford-Hawley, occupation, I'm a retired teacher, I'm currently a councillor and the Deputy Mayor.
Perfect, thank you very much. So why did the Tropicana stop functioning as a Lido?
Quite simply because people stopped going to it. It was old hat. Quite frankly, it opened in 1937 at the height of the open-air swimming movement, and it was hugely popular in the summer. Everybody looks at postcards and they say, "Oh, wasn't it wonderful? It was always full." Well, yes, it was on the hot days, but this is England, and you don't guarantee the weather, do you? So
No.
it started to lose its fashion. People going on holiday to Spain, the Costas had been invented. People looking for a different type of attraction in the summer, and it just became less fashionable.
Is that why Lidos began to die out just all over the country in the 80s, 90s?
Yeah, they began to die. Really, it's Spain's fault. Spain invented guaranteed sunshine and guaranteed blue water, and the British seaside resort began to decline. And Weston was just part of that.
In what ways has the Tropicana changed in both looks and the entertainment that it hosts?
Well, the days of cold water swimming went out of fashion. They're now back in fashion, of course. But in the meantime, the structural facilities at the open-air pool, the Lido, the Tropicana, began to crumble. It was built in the 1930s. It wasn't built to last forever. Alternative uses started to rise, and once you get rid of the pool area and you get rid of the iconic diving stage, what you're left with, basically you're left with a piece of open space with a wall around it on the beach. And so other uses gradually were sought, including venues for outdoor concerts, Reaper events, sort of Glastonbury with Western mud rather than Glastonbury with their mud.
When it reopened in 2015 with Disneyland, did it face any challenges reopening?
Disneyland was interesting because it was such an ironic display. It actually needed to be based in something that was failing. So in a way, the Tropicana building was superb for that event. But it was only temporary.
Yeah.
It came in, hugely popular, brought crowds from not just over the country, but internationally. But it was a temporary use of that building.
After talking with John about how the building came to be, I wanted to talk to the residents of Weston-super-Mare to find out if they would even want the building to be restored to its original state. or if they would want the building to evolve and be renovated to keep up with the new generation of residents. I visited Sarah, a resident of Weston-super-Mare, and she had lots to tell me about her memories of visiting the Lido in the 80s.
So my name is Sarah and I've lived in Weston most of my life and I grew up in Weston.
So what is your fondest memory at the Tropicana?
So I remember as a kid going there with my mum and my friends' parents and playing in the pool, and they had these massive concrete steps at the back that your mum and everyone used to sit on, and you used to just go off in the pool and go back to them and just spend the whole day there.
What was your favourite part of the Tropicana from when it was a working Lido?
Definitely slides. They had a big pineapple with a slide that went out of it, and a big like clown face with a mouth that a slide went out of it. And when you went there, all you wanted to do was go on the slides.
In your opinion, do you think it should have stayed open as a Lido instead of turning into an event space?
I don't think so, because I don't think nowadays we would use it as a Lido as much. So I think it's probably getting used more as an event space now than it would if it stayed that way as a Lido.
Do you think the Tropicana would still be as popular today as it was in the 80s if it was still a working Lido?
No, I don't think so, because I think in the 80s we didn't have the internet, we didn't have mobile phones, we didn't have gaming. We just went out and played. So that was somewhere where families could go for the whole day and just spend the day there. And I don't think really I don't think younger people would use it as much now.
And what do you think should happen to the building?
I think it should be used for the community. So the events that are going on now, I think it does bring money into Weston. So I think if it can carry on being used to bring people into Weston and money into Weston, then I think that's a good idea.
After my conversation with Sarah and gaining insight into what the residents of the town think about the building's current state, I wanted to see how people outside of Weston feel about the Tropicana. My goal for this was to get the thoughts and opinions of someone who's never had access to facilities like the Tropicana, and how reopening the building as a Lido would encourage tourism and attract visitors. And who better to ask than someone that lives in a big busy city, the opposite of Weston's calming seaside town atmosphere. So I met up with Ethan, who lives in Newport, Wales. We sat down in a local bookstore to talk about what he thinks about the closing of the historic building.
Hello, my name is Ethan and I am from Newport in Wales.
Does Newport have any features like the Tropicana?
Not really. I couldn't think of anywhere specifically in Newport where you'd have something as a big attraction like the Tropicana. It's not really big on attractions. I think it's just you have more shopping and like food places, for example. But in it sense of the Tropicana, it's not really a big attraction.
So would having an attraction like the Tropicana attract you to Weston?
I think it would. I think it would bring in a lot more tourists. I think you'd have a lot more income. Obviously, give a lot more people jobs as well.
Would you say that the bareness of Newport and the bareness of Weston make them quite similar, even though it's obviously a city and a small town?
Definitely. I think Newport and Weston are very similar, whereas where it used to be a thriving place to be, it's kind of died down with attractions and stuff like that. For example, with Newport, there's a massive building for Debenhams, like 3-story building that takes up a good chunk of the city centre, and it's just closed. There's nothing there.
So what are the next steps for the building? Well, the building is currently being used as an event space and is rented out for bingo nights, concerts and seasonal events like summer fairs. But after talking to John earlier on, I found out that in 2023, North Somerset Council won £20 million from the government's Levelling Up Fund, which will be partially used to refurbish the building. Construction is due to start in summer 2024 and will become a multi-use entertainment space. It is not yet known what the entertainment space will include, but the hopes are that it will generate income and tourism to the charming seaside town.